Good evening, and welcome to our Monday Night Live. We're happy that you are here, and we are about to get into a very interesting topic, and that is this month being Breast Cancer Focus Month, and we've been looking at different aspects to help support our ladies with their breast cancer, but know that the information is also applicable to many varied types of cancers. We're focusing on diet this evening. And yes, diet does have a big role to play in cancer in terms of causing our genes to be mutated, our cells to be mutated, as well as diet can actually turn around things for us and be a part of our recovery protocol. So let us begin with a word of prayer. Our Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for this day and we thank you for knowledge, information that you have imparted. We pray for your continued presence to be with us now. This is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. So welcome. I'm speaking to you from True Health Lifestyle Center, healing the whole person, the body, mind, and spirit. And so by way of announcements, next week, Tuesday, it's going to be our second, because we've launched our diabetes support group. And so we are continuing every first Tuesday in the month where we have our diabetes support group. So do look out for the link that would be shared with you. It's right here. If you were to go on Zoom and you type in this for the ID and the passcode, you will join us at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay. And starting this coming Thursday, a few days from now, we'll be launching our cancer support group. And there we will have lots of time. Cancer is a huge topic, and it's focusing on you, the participant. And so as you come to these sessions, it's going to be the last Thursday of every month. And as you come to the sessions, we're going to be sharing some pointers with you, as well as spending time in prayer. We would also listen to your questions, listen to your input, listen to what's burdening on your heart, and together help you to go through that. To support, really adding support. One of the things that as we get more information, we'll be sharing with you. So there is a forum where it's not just a lecture, one and done. It's continuously sharing new insights, testing, anything that you might be going through at a time. You want to know what others are doing, what's working for them. And so we're going to be having a special forum for that. The focus is on rebuilding your body, because when cancer comes, it's like a wake-up call for many. And it's like, what have you been doing that you should not have been? Or what should you have been doing that you didn't? Maybe you weren't taking care of yourself well, not getting rest at night, living a stressful life, and all those things. So we need to rebuild the body, renew the soul, finding yourself in God, and refreshing your spirit, uplifting you. So those are some of the focused umbrella focus for the support group, and it's going to be quite meaningful for you to join. So look out for communication. We'll start sharing the flyers by tomorrow with the Zoom link, and share that around so that others can come and be a part of this and gain the help that they need. Many times individuals get a cancer diagnosis and they are not sure where to get started. They don't know what to do. And so this the support group will help you there. We have resources that we'll be sharing, and so it will help you to get off the ground and have some perspective as to what to do. Okay, so our topic for tonight, of course, if you do have any questions, please put it in the chat. You can raise your hand and we will acknowledge you to take your question. Even while we're doing the presentation, you can raise your hand. Something came up you don't quite understand, you want to know. And at the end, we will have a time for Q&A. Good. So breast cancer, let's look at diet and lifestyle. Psalm chapter 73, verse 26 says, my flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. We're looking at anti-cancer diet this evening. And I just want to say that information being presented is for educational purposes only and is not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any disease. And we encourage you to consult a qualified healthcare professional for individualized care. Many times individuals may feel a lump, they may do an ultrasound, they may do something, and they tell themselves, they self-diagnose, they tell themselves that they have cancer. It may not be. So go and get it checked. And even if the very test indicate that it is cancerous, still do all complete the rounds of testing so that you can know the type of cancer that you have, even if it's breast cancer. It's in the breast tissue, yes, but what type is important for us to know in order to tweak the protocol for you, whether it is hormonally driven or not. So that's important to know the type of cancer that you have. And you may be assigned or referred to an oncologist. See your oncologist and hear what he has to say about your cancer that is within your body. And and then from there, you see you have information that you would be able to work with. Many times individuals choose not to use conventional medicine. They prefer to use natural remedies. That's okay, but we need to know what we're working with. And therefore, the testing is important. So last session, we talked about testing. So you can go back to our segment number 2 on this topic. So today we want to focus on what to eat and what not to eat, and how to support the body's defense systems. We'll also be looking at removing dietary burdens and looking at nutrient-dense whole foods and whole plant foods. We also would be looking at some daily routine and practical recipes, more within the cancer support group. We'll have lots of time to do that. Okay, so what not to eat? Many times people would think, well, they're taking this away, then what do I replace it with? We will tell you what you replace it with. But when you have cancer, you don't have the time to fuss about, well, you're telling me come off dairy, but what am I going to replace it with? You don't have the time to do that because know that dairy can spur cancer growth. Okay, so what you're looking to do is to make changes to stop the progression. Stop the progression. Stop from getting new cancer cells and just promoting this tumor, causing it to grow. All right, so that should be your focus. So what is it that I'm eating that I need to remove from my diet? And many times, if you don't see a dietitian, your oncologist may say, eat anything, continue to eat the way you've been eating. Well, diet plays a huge role in disease prevention. And that is across the board. Diet plays a big role even in reversing disease and remission, recovery. Diet is important. Diet influences, our body. I mean, you put on size, you grow. You have a little tissue, you have flesh, your blood and everything. What's feeding that? Your food. Okay, it's not about just breathing, though breathing is important. So it's not just about breathing or just existing. We're putting food, that's fuel within the body, and the body will take that and utilize it either for in a good way towards you or bad because of what constitutes the intake. So what we put in is important. This is a recent study from Loma Linda University out in California, and it reveals compelling evidence that vegetarian diets are associated with a lower risk of several cancers, especially medium frequency cancer like stomach, lymphoma, and then you have among 80,000 participants, vegetarians had a 45% reduced risk of stomach cancer and 25 reduced risk of lymphomas. The study also reinforced previous findings that vegetarians faced reduced risk for breast cancer, and vegans, face reduced risk for breast cancer and prostate cancers. So we're talking about breast cancer today. Note what kind of diet? A vegan diet. That means you're excluding fish, dairy, chicken, beef, pork, lamb, the butter, the cheese, all of those, the eggs. You're excluding those from your diet, and that can reduce your risk of getting breast cancer. Maybe you have breast cancer or prostate cancer in your family. It need not come to you. When you make a dietary change, when you make a lifestyle change, it can be different for you. So researchers believe that these results may be even more significant when compared to the general population. So as you looked at this group of people, you'd see that the diet plays a big role in reducing cancer risk. I want us to pause for a moment and think. This is important. Pause for a moment and think. Because many times, big people, we do things and we don't think ahead. We don't plan ahead. We just go through. Somebody put something before you, you just eat it. Are you going to think about what is this going to do to me? Is it going to be hurtful or helpful? Is it healthy? What is this going to do to me? And think and make wise decisions, because many times that one decision that you make can take you down a road. So Christmas is coming and Thanksgiving is coming. And a lot of people would say, well, I was doing well. I was going okay until the season came and I just was hanging out with family, with friends. And they just said, take a little piece, take a little piece. And I ate a little piece of some form of flesh food. And that just got me right back down the rabbit hole. No, think, because you are the one who's going to hurt personally, no one else. So you can't just be joining the crowd. There's something going on with you and you need to make a change. All right, so think. Modern diets overemphasize pleasure and processed convenience foods. Commercials. You go to the supermarket, everything looking new and fancy, and so you just want to try this. No, just be careful, and then adopt deliberate eating that maximizes nutrition and benefit per bite. Everything that you put into your mouth is either feeding disease, is either feeding cancer or fighting it. It's that simple. Everything you put into your mouth is either feeding the cancer or fighting it. So we need to be quite thoughtful. And during recovery phase, you find that 100% commitment to the diet and lifestyle changes is simpler than partial adherence to it. It's so easy, to eat fruit, to eat vegetables, and it doesn't have to have this taste. Many people go after food for taste. That's why shift your mind when it comes to food. Eat to live. Eat to live. Yes, taste can make you have a greater appetite and so forth. I'm not saying not to make your food tasty, but don't go off that it has to be tasty, even if it's just steamed. The other day I had steamed broccoli. Yeah, just like that, steamed broccoli, popping it into my mouth. But I made a nice dressing that I dip it into and then consumed. So with that, I enjoyed my steamed broccoli. That was steamed plain, nothing else on it. But if it comes to that you don't even have a flavor to add, if it comes to that, just enjoy food in its natural state and for its natural taste. Okay, so eat to live. So here let's have a look and about what not to eat. What are some of the things that could be hurting us, that could be spurring cancer growth? We want to eliminate packaged foods. And so if you have cancer today, pay attention to this. Eliminate the packaged foods. Many times these packaged foods has high amount of sodium in it. So they have high amounts of sodium in them, and that's going to cause a lot of issues for you. Excessive amount of sodium can cause the growth of even stomach cancers. So you next want to cut out meat and dairy. Remove meat and dairy, and we talk a little bit about that. And then all pork should be avoided. Don't be just nibbling and tasting pork from somebody else's plate. That's not for you. As a matter of fact, pork is not healthy in the first place. And from a religious perspective, from a spiritual perspective, the Bible talks against pork in Leviticus 11, chapter 11. So let's leave the pork, let's leave the meat, the dairy, the packaged foods, and include enzymes. Digestive enzymes could be supplementally, but having live food, raw foods can be helpful. Consider juicing, consider making smoothies, more of the vegetables as opposed to the fruit, because once you start making smoothies of the fruit, you're increasing sugar content for your intake. Eat an abundance of green salads, eat an abundance of vegetables. That's what you're looking at. So let's take a look at meat and dairy. Studies show that there's a strong link between meat and dairy consumption and cancer. Even when it comes to colon cancer, let's look at the meat and the dairy and the animal foods. All right, fish and eggs and the processed meats, they are very much linked to cancer formation in the body. When you put that causes inflammation, increased inflammation in the body. So you want to make a change. Next, you want to look at animal products require your body to work harder. When you consume flesh food, your digestive system have to work harder, produce more acid to break down that flesh food. And you need all the energy and enzymes you have to digest and break down that food. So you don't want to expend your body more than what is needed. Another point is plant foods practically digest themselves and contain tons of fiber to clean out your colon to allow for optimal distribution of nutrients and absorption. Meat and dairy contains no fiber, just for knowing. So when you have plant foods, it comes in, it tastes great, and there's fiber with it that will cause you to have proper bowel movement. If you don't have proper bowel movement and you're constipated, that will cause toxins to be reintroduced into your bloodstream and circulate all over again, increasing your toxic load. So we want to eat foods with fiber, natural whole foods, as opposed to animal foods. Note that in meat, there is no fiber. And then take care of all animal products. Now, removing the fish, chicken, pork, eggs, dairy, simplify your shopping and just look on the produce area. The items are going to be there, but that's not for you. Okay, they can have in your workplace, you can see all kinds of things there, pastries and fries and not only the animal foods, but cheese and so forth, cheese paste sandwiches and all of those things. But that is not for you. You gotta make a different selection. And so you focus on the fruits and the vegetables section of the supermarket. Go to the local market, go to the farmer's market. And there, one of the things you want to eat organic. So if you go to the farmer's market, you're able to talk to the farmers. The other day, I went to my market and I said, I'm looking for organic today, everything organic. And then I gravitated to certain foods like the oranges and the grapefruits and so forth that we have here in my country. They're so organic and healthy for us. The ground produce. I got some tomatoes and the farmer who is selling, he put a sign, no spray. So I didn't even have to ask. But there was another time I went back and I asked this gentleman, by chance, do you spray your tomatoes? And he said, oh, no. So, you can talk to the local farmers if you go to the market. Now, here's another item we want to remove, dairy. We said it has no fiber, but do you know that dairy comes from the milk, the cow, most times, the cow's milk, and there you have hormones that they would have been exposed to, antibiotics they would have been exposed to, and that passes on to you, the eater. The hormones are given to the cattle to help with rapid growth of the calf. And by watching that, the calf, by taking the milk, because it's a mother's milk, and so the mother is injected with hormones to help make, as the calf feeds on the milk, the calf is just going to get big too fast, muscular. And what happens to our people when they consume this is that their body just goes out of proportion. Their hormones, and women, we're talking about breast cancer that grows so rapidly because of a hormonal shift can cause problems. Another point to note is that dairy intake may contribute to weight gain and growth signaling too fast. And that is disrupting you and your normal body physiology, and that can contribute to cancer. It's so simple, how cancer can develop within the human body. You also have the intensive phase recommendation, where you have just gotten a diagnosis, you're on the changing, you want to avoid all dairy products from then go forward. So that when you think about how you go about recovery, you want to avoid all dairy products. Another point as to why to avoid the animal foods, IGF, insulin-like growth factor, that is found in animal protein and tends to increase the growth of cells in the body when you consume it. So an elevated IGF-1 is associated with tumor growth and progression. So where do you get it from? This IGF? From eating animal protein. And that goes across the board. Is animal protein, anything that's a creature. And byproducts coming from that. Plant-exclusive eating can significantly reduce your circulating IGF-1. And it's as simple as that. Now, foods to avoid in this intensive phase where you have your diagnosis and you have to make the change and make the change ASAP. You want to have, ASAP means as soon as possible. Okay, so you want to have, uh, avoid ultra processed and man-made foods. So have a look at what that might be. Ultra processed foods, foods found in packages, a lot of the snack foods, foods are like fake foods, additives, preservatives, artificial colors, found in the food, all of those you want to avoid. What about restaurant foods? Usually they're typically high in sugar, salt, and oil, and preservatives. And refined sugars and flours, such as white sugar, corn syrup, white flour, those you want to avoid. Yeah, your white flour is devoid of nutrients. And when you're thinking about a nutrient-rich diet, you want to go for more whole grain flour. Methionine dependency, another item found in animal foods, and most plant foods are always lower. Several cancers demonstrate a dependency on the amino acid methionine, and what we should seek to do is to lower our methionine by going on a plant diet, and that may change for your cancer cell diagnosis. Now, heme iron and oxidative stress. Heme iron comes from meat. It's highly absorbable and can promote free radical damage. So heme iron is where the iron have been processed by the animal, and so you're eating it and you're getting high amounts of this iron. So sometimes you see your iron value being excessively high. Could it be from the diet that you're consuming? And then the body just absorbs and takes it in. You also want to uh, look for higher body iron stores to increase that would be linked to increased cancer risk. So if you're getting too much iron because you're eating animal foods, and then your storage of iron increases, then it could be that you have too much iron in the body, and that's not a good thing to have circulating iron in your body. That can increase the risk of cancer. Reducing excess iron exposure is therefore consistent with a lower risk of cancer. What not to eat? What about sugar? Sugar is addictive. Have you heard that before? That sugar is addictive? Let's see. Anyone here in the chat, have you heard before that sugar is addictive? Did you know that?
Yes, yes.
Okay, good. And does anyone know how many teaspoons of sugar is in 24 grams of an item like a juice? Sometimes you have even a fruit juice, and you turn to the label and you look at the sugar value. How many grams, how many teaspoons is found in 24 grams of sugar? A little maths. Okay, so folks are saying yes. Let me just give you, ah, 8, no, not 8. 10, no. Okay. Oh, um, I'm gonna put this in the chat. Look at this. 4 grams. 4 grams of sugar to 1 teaspoon. Let me just fix it. 4 grams of sugar is equal to 1 teaspoon of sugar. Okay, so if we have 24, let's divide the 24 by 4. 6 fours are 24, 6. So that will be 6 teaspoons of sugar in your little cartoon of a juice that you may be drinking or giving to your child. So there you find that there's a lot of sugar in items that we consume, especially processed items. So pay attention to that and try to have more whole foods as opposed to the processed foods. Okay. Now, sugar can also affect your brain, your psyche. Sugar promotes cancer growth. It can spike your insulin. It can contribute to inflammation in the body. It damages skin collagen, promotes a lot of wrinkles on the face and on your neck and everywhere. It increases appetite because the more sugar you eat, the more you want. It depletes the body of the B vitamins and causes joint degeneration. The 1931 Nobel Prize winner, German Otto Warburg was his name. He was a physician, and he discovered that cancer cells metabolize differently from healthy cells, and that cancer cells are fueled by sugar. And just by increasing sugar, you saw an increase in cancer cell, reduce sugar intake, a decrease in the cancer cells. And so you gotta watch any food, that turns into glucose and producing high amounts of glucose in the body. You have the bread, the pasta, the alcohol, and so forth. That can contribute. The bread, I tend to hold on that for individuals with cancer because of the yeast, because of the wheat that has been hybridized, because it can increase inflammation in the body. And but when it comes to sugar, alcohol is converted into sugar. Watch the pastas. All of those things are refined and they can increase cancer. And so even when it comes to any sugar intake, let's reduce that. Honey, watch the dried fruits because you have high concentration of sugar there. Okay. If you blackstrap molasses can be a viable option for a sugar source, but again, when used therapeutically as opposed to just freely using, and we'll talk more about that in our cancer support group. And so our high fructose corn syrup, again, is toxic to the liver, and that increases inflammation in the body, bodily stress, weight gain, and causes sudden insulin surges. So high fructose corn syrup, again, being a processed item, will increase what? Inflammation in the body. Once you hear that, you have too much burden on your liver, and your liver is one organ that you want to love, that you want to take care of when you have a cancer condition. You may have heard about hydrogenated oils, and that shows up like in some processed food, like your nuts, anything that has oil in it. Look at the label and see whether it has hydrogenated oils in there. These trans fats can sort of influence how your body metabolizes even fat content. And you don't want to have too much fat within your bloodstream or even contributing to cardiovascular issues. MSG is another one, monosodium glutamate, and that tends to increase cancer growth. It's associated with reproductive disorders, migraine headaches, and decreased fertility. MSG is used in many foods as a taste enhancer. MSG can also be referred to as yeast extract. You might see hydrolyzed protein or soy protein isolate. Know that that has MSG in it. So MSG, it goes by a number of different names, and so you want to avoid foods with MSG, knowing that it is associated with cancer. And sodium nitrate is a preservative. It's a coloring, also adding flavor to bacon, ham, hot dogs, lunch meats, and smoked fish. It's all connected to several types of cancer, including leukemia for children. And so a lot of times children are given these processed meat items, sausages to eat with their bread. But look at the color of that red. That's a preservative in there. It may contain sodium nitrate. So read the label, read the package. You would see sodium nitrate and a value to it, or you may not if it doesn't have it. And when you see it there, just leave that item alone because it can increase the risk of cancer. MSG, look at all of these names by which it goes into here. Malt barley, protease, pectin, citric acid, E330, carrageenan, all of these are different. Magnesium glutamate, and so monosodium glutamate is the MSG that we're familiar with, but it can be found in these and more. Sodium caseinate, calcium caseinate, sometimes powdered items, food items, can have these things in them. Oh, you can look at, here has a whole list, hungryforchange.tv. Okay, there's an article looking at sneaky names for MSG. What about processed soy? Avoid processed soy like the fake meats, these meat analogs, because they have more than soy in them. They may have preservatives, artificial colorings, and you ingest that, it's going to disrupt your hormones, it's going to disrupt your cell, it can spur the growth of these cells. Sodium chloride found in high amounts in your normal table salt, and that we want to avoid. Use a healthier version such as pink Himalayan sea salt instead. Aspartame, sweet and low, equal. Splendor, all of these names, they are artificial sugars, and we want to avoid those artificial sugars. So sugar indeed, as well as the artificial. Splendor, and so on, food colorings. We want to look at that and avoid it. Okay, so someone is asking, what about agave? If you have cancer, I would say seek to avoid agave. Again, because of its high glucose and fructose levels in the agave. And the the sweet, the sugars, it just spurs cancer growth. So we want to avoid it. So these food colorings, they're linked with cancer. Look at the blue, the red, the green, the yellow. Use foods to give color if you want it. You get a nice squash or pumpkin and get bright orange to your food. This morning I had some foods which was more in the yellow orange colors, and I was like, wow. I had some orange papaya, then sweet potato. I had some red lentils, which came out sort of yellow. And then I also had some squash, and that was a bright orange color. And so you can get colors in your food. Beetroot can color lots of things. Even use your greens, your green leafy, and you can blend that and add it to other items in your dish and get those natural colors in there. And processed and refined wheat and gluten, we want to remove these because it tends to increase inflammation in the body. And anytime you have inflammation being heightened, you increase your risk for cancer. So let's reduce the risk. Recently I was doing some research um, on cancer in general. I was doing research on the herbs as well as chemotherapies and just comparing things and seeing what's in there. And interestingly, what I saw, the very items for reducing inflammation with arthritic situations and autoimmune conditions were very much the very items that were used in cancer protocols. That was quite interesting and deep because the very medicines that were used and even chemotherapy for certain autoimmune conditions that's there in the cancer, there were items used in chemotherapy that were medicine otherwise used for autoimmune conditions and even arthritis type situations, rheumatoid arthritis, arthritis in a whole. So you're looking at inflammation across the board. That's what I took away from that observation as I was doing my research. You're looking at inflammation. And so that's what we want to reduce, an inflamed body. And so inflammation can cause autoimmune conditions, can cause cellular mutation. And you're talking about cancer cells right there. So that can develop. So you want to reduce inflammatory foods. And so in the wheat of today, you find that they can be highly inflammatory. So bread is a good thing. If you find nice, healthier ways of making your bread, some people may make oat bread or different types of items. Uh, try to do something different. The easy cal bread tends to have more grains and sprouts and so forth in there, and that might be a better option for you. Genetically modified foods. We want to eat more organic as opposed to foods that are sprayed with chemicals or genetically modified. You're looking at your soy, corn, cottonseed, rapeseed, canola, papaya, beets, squash, zucchini, and they're most times now genetically modified. And so as we seek to reduce the GMO foods, let's fill that plate with more organic food so that we can be safer. Mm-hmm. Okay, so someone is asking, what about sourdough bread? I don't particularly subscribe to sourdough bread, especially if that sourdough gets fermented and then I'm adding that to the dough. That can be, unhealthy for the body. So there are times individuals make these things and you're not sure about what they're adding in there. So I tend to stay away from the sourdough bread. And even though it's sourdough and you're still using the wheat item, it does take away from the hybrid, hybrid is hybrid formation of the wheat. Hybridized is the word I'm looking for. It doesn't take away from the hybridization of the wheat. Okay. Caffeine. Caffeine, we covered this in the first session where we talked about the causes of cancer, but caffeine is connected with several types of cancers. It can cause cellular mutation because it will disrupt the DNA in the cell. Caffeine disrupts the DNA in your cell and causes your cell to lose differentiation, causes your cell to go rogue, and then you have cancer showing up for you. Caffeine also has cancer-causing agents in chocolate, for example. In cocoa bean, it has cancer-causing agents in there. So we want to stay away from the caffeine, the other items with caffeine. What about caffeinated tea or even sodas? Again, high amounts of caffeine causes stress hormones, and that can increase cortisol, which you're talking about inflammation. It can also increase insulin in the bloodstream. Too much insulin will cause inflammation, and that can promote cancer and other diseases. So we want insulin, but not overly high amounts, but caffeine will trigger high insulin and cause inflammation in the system. So therefore, we need to read our labels in order to understand more about what we are consuming. But then again, whole foods need not have labels on them. All right. So if you have a whole food, you have cucumber, that's it. You know, you wouldn't really see a label on cucumber telling you about nutrient content. But why we read the labels is so that we could avoid some of those things we talked about, the varied forms of MSG, and we want to have a healthier plate. Okay, so what are we going to eat? I'll take a few minutes on this and then I'll stop because as mentioned, this session does not end right here. It continues. So what to eat? Eat organic, eat cancer healing foods every day. This is important. Just look on your plate. Am I seeing cancer healing food in here? And that's what you need. You need, let me see. For those who may have heard before, because I've spoken about cancer items before. What do you think? What can be a cancer healing food? What are you looking for in a plate, in a day, in a week? What are cancer healing foods? Anyone?
Broccoli, cauliflower,
Yes.
leek.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. So broccoli, cauliflower, you mentioned leeks, Brussels sprouts. Those are the cruciferous family, the cabbage family. So you have the cabbage, the red, the green cabbage. What about bok choy? Yeah. So all of those for cruciferous. Okay, good. And yep, so all of those are items. What about carrots? Yes, that's good for beta carotene, green leafy. Yes. Any of the spices, any item on that side? What about, okay, lettuce is good for green leafy. Yeah. Sprouts, nice. Yeah, sprouts. And what about garlic and onions? Those are items. Turmeric, good, you got the spice in. Asparagus, excellent. Turmeric, yes, and the beets, nice. So those are some of the items that you should be seeing on your plate every single day, looking for that. And seeded grapes and seeded watermelons too. So when you eat, look, again, but every time we put something into our mouth, we either feeding disease or fighting it. So we want to make every day your efforts, especially if you have cancer, you're focused on certain foods. Even vitamin C foods, the citrus can be included in here as well. You have your citrus, your lemon, your lime, kiwis, so high amounts of vitamin C type of food. Okay, so here you see some of your contributions. Let's see what's different. Kale, cauliflower, turnips, watercress, radish. They contain sulfur compounds, phytochemicals, and that prevent cells carcinogenic degeneration, among other properties. So your cells may be exposed to some carcinogen, right? Eating these foods, it breaks it down. Yeah. So that's why we eat. Then carotene coming from carrots and pumpkin. You also want to prevent stomach disorders such as acidity and gastritis due to the healing action of cabbage and potatoes. So potato juice. If you have stomach issues, you can do potato juice or cabbage juice. Um, you want to prevent constipation, so it's important for us to have foods with fiber. If you have cancer, you do not want to be constipated. You do not want a day to pass without having a bowel movement because those toxins in your stool will be reabsorbed into the bloodstream. So you're really looking to have nice, clear colon. You have antioxidants coming from your nuts and fiber. Water is hugely important, drinking lots of water, consuming water. You may have teas. That can count, but more focus on the water intake. And again, we're looking at whole grains. Yeah, more whole grain, whole grain, whole grain. The chickpeas, peas and legumes, and those are good option. Your nuts and seeds and so on. Sugar, okay, this we talked about that. Yeah. Okay, so we pause there. Let me take it to our recipe for the week. And the recipe for the week is, let's see what's in the chat. Okay, so somebody's asking, what about apricot seeds? I use apricot seeds, and coming up in our cancer support group, we will have an opportunity to talk about apricot seeds, and I'll be able to share more. But the the agents, amalgadin in the apricot seeds helps with fighting cancer. So somebody says it's poisonous. Okay. So yes, it does have cyanide in it. However, so do your apple seeds and so on. But what happens is what happens is that there's a glucose component to the apricot seed. And when you eat it, the cancer cells come for that little glucose component. But at the same time, it's a toxic, a poisonous glucose that they're going to be getting. And that's how it kills them. So we do share that you can use the apricot seed, but you have to know how to consume it. You have, what we do is 3 seeds 3 times a day, spaced out 3 times a day, not having more than 3 seeds within an hour. Some people seem to think that you can do a whole lot more, but there's been quite a number of evidence that shows that the apricot seeds have been helpful and works for humans as well as for animals with cancer situation. And there we can use it. We can use it safely, of course, in everything. Let's use it moderately, not being extensive. Okay. All right. So our recipe for the week, it's a tofu item. And why tofu? It's when it comes to breast cancer, even what has been observed is that a lot of individuals within the Asian countries do not have a high risk of breast cancer like we do in the West. And one thing that's common among them is their food and the soy, the genistein in their soy food. So that fights cancer. So you find tofu, organic, whole tofu, and not the genetically modified tofu. We're looking at the organic tofu, and this is what we have here. Some tofu balls. So you have 1.5 pounds of firm tofu. You mash that down. And then you can add some water chestnuts if you choose. That gives a little crunch to it. Or you may have, what about um, Christophine? Uh, they call it chapote, but Christophine can give a little nice crunch to your item in place of the water chestnuts. You can add also one red bell pepper or sweet pepper, red. Add 8 green onions. You chop them up finely. That's going to add such nice flavor. You can use cilantro in place of that. That gives flavor. Then 1/4 cup of chopped parsley. That sounds like delicious already. And then 1.5 teaspoon of almond butter. That just helps with binding and holding. And 1 cup of fine dry bread crumbs. You can have your own bread. You can bake it twice and run that in a food processor and then blender to get it more crummy. And so once you add all of those, you mix them together in a bowl, and then you start squeezing it to make sure you don't have too much water in there. It doesn't really call for water because the tofu may have some water values in it. But even if you had to add a little bit more water because maybe your breadcrumbs cause it to dry, if you don't have breadcrumbs, you can use oats. Oats will also help with binding. So if you have some nice toasted oats, you can add that here. And then you work it, and you'll be able to start forming and shaping your balls. You put it into the oven for 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 45 to 60 minutes. And that, if it is a big ball, a 2-inch ball, but if your balls formation are smaller, it wouldn't be for this long. And so once you have your tofu balls, you're able to make a nice uh, tomato paste dressing to go along with that. And the more, when you make it, the item tasty, here, these items here suggested are quite tasty. I would want to add a little bit of salted taste. So I would say let's add some pink Himalayan salt. Pink. Yeah, got a nice Himalayan salt to taste, and that will work well for you. Make sure you taste it before you bake and before you form your balls. Scripture text today comes from Jeremiah 33. Somebody has a question? Okay. Jeremiah 33:6 says, Behold, I will bring it health and cure, and will cure them. I'll bring health and cure, and will cure them, and will reveal unto them the abundance of peace and truth. Okay, so there is a promise that God is going to bring to us health. He's going to bring cure. He's going to bring peace to our minds. He's going to bring the truth out. Do you want to know the truth about cancer in your body, how to take care of yourself? And yeah, so God has promised that he's going to do that for us. Again, I've been mentioning it all through. Look out for the flyer. It's going to be posted tomorrow, where we will be starting our cancer support group on Thursday coming. It's not going to be like this. I'm going to talk less and let you talk more. All right, where we'll be learning from each other, but I'll be bringing yeah, over time resources for you to help strengthen you for your body, your mind, your spirit, and also to help you through the cancer journey. So it's not a one-off program. It's going to happen every fourth Thursday in the month. Every last Thursday in the month is when we're going to have our session. Yeah. Okay, yes, I'm going to send the recipe in the chat. Do we have any questions? Thank you so much for attending and for your participation. Do you have any questions at this time?
Hello, Dr. Nash. Hi, everybody. This is
Hello.
Muslim Monday.
Yeah.
Um, I missed one of the headings you had, and I saw that oil, rapeseed oil,
Mm-hmm.
in the group, and with papaya.
Mm-hmm.
Are you suggesting me use rapeseed oil? It's good for you.
No. Uh-uh. Let me just
Oh,
see if I can
but
pull.
I said grouped with papaya.
Oh no, not in terms of grouping. Um, or the genetically modified foods. Okay, yeah. Yeah. No, it's identifying genetically modified foods for
Okay,
us
so
to
the
avoid.
papaya is also GMO.
Not all. There are some. There are some papaya that you could replant that seed and it would not grow. A
Oh,
healthy tree for you. Yeah. When you see those papayas, they're big, big, and they tend to grow multiple. The trees are short
uh-huh.
and they grow. Most times you get seedlings and they're genetically modified papaya. And when you get one crop, that's it. And if you were to take the seed from that papaya and plant it, you will not get the same yield. You would not get get that repeated. So that's why we have to
Wow.
hold on to our heirloom seeds of papaya and plant that only because if you did that, then it's nice, it's healthy, it's organic. But papaya has been touched, it has been genetically modified so that the tree is shorter, you get bigger yields, and
Mm,
you can actually spray around on the weeds, and so the tree is resistant to that weedy side. Um, yeah, but so the Monsanto has produced and other parties have produced these papaya, and it is there. Even beets,
wow.
sugar beets. So it's not all, but those used particularly used for sugar, the cotton seed used for cotton seed oil. Yeah, the rapeseed, as you know, canola oil or rapeseed oil.
Yeah, I know that's no good at all. I believe that's what helped me race my arthritis because
It
I used to use it a lot.
Oh yeah. So anytime you're using oils that it has high amounts of omega-6, you're talking about increase in inflammation. Vegetable
Yeah.
oils, soy oils, sorry, bean oil, they increase inflammation in the body,
Mm.
the six fatty acids.
Thank
Yeah,
you very much.
you're welcome. Okay. All right. Can I get whole wheat bread? Yeah. Oh, can I eat whole wheat bread if my TSH is high, thyroid stimulating hormone? Um, I would stay away from the wheat bread because of the gluten component. And so gluten tends to be connected with uh, increased thyroid and thyroid hormone and also affects the thyroid gland in itself. So I don't, when it comes to individuals with thyroid issues, I would say back away from the bread because gluten, there's a connection with having gluten and that causing the thyroid gland to have some issues, be enlarged and so forth. Okay. Easy cal bread. Well, so easy cal bread. Um, okay. Okay. So easy cal bread, it's Especially a bread that has grains, a lot of grains in it. And so individuals tend to go for that. So there are different types of Ezekiel bread. You have some where you have sprouted grain, and the flour in it tends to have. So let's take a look at Ezekiel bread ingredients, and that can give you an idea. It has sprouted grains, legumes. So you have wheat, barley, millet, lentils, and spelt in there, where they're looking at some more whole grain, but it has a little bit of wheat. Usually that would, because of the brand, it can be more organic wheat. And when I say organic wheat, wheat that has not been touched. So the wheat, most of it that you'd get a common flour, that wheat has been touched where it's no like a hybrid type of wheat. So it would cause short trees, bigger yield, drought resistant, sweeter taste. So they've modified the wheat in itself, so that changed up the end product. And that has been causing issues with individuals. But the Ezekiel bread tend to have the sprout from the wheat. So like wheatgrass is okay even if I tell you stay away from wheat, or you think you're allergic to wheat or have issues with wheat, but wheatgrass, it's different. So you can have the wheatgrass. So if there's most times if you have sprouted wheat, as in the Ezekiel bread, then that doesn't pose a problem for individuals. So that's the difference with the wheat in that one. Okay. Good. So I hope that answers your question. And if you found a way in which you can make your bread that's different, and that you're happy and satisfied, then by all means. So here, I have someone from my church, and she makes a lovely bread where she would use ground provisions, and so that helps individuals who would like to have some form of bread. They will, when they come by me or close to us, they will seek to get some of that. Okay, so thank you. I look forward to seeing you join us on Thursday evening. The sessions on Thursday evening will not be recorded, again, because it's more personal. And but we will come together and share, but those sessions on Thursday will not be recorded, unfortunately. If you missed, you just join us the next time around. And we will always do a recap, talk about tell what we discussed the previous week. I hate, okay, let me just stop here.